Hello and welcome. I'm Whitney Cobran. I'm the owner of Heart Hunters Love Coaching. And today we're going to be talking about finding love in this time of COVID-19, quarantine and all. So first, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and what I do. What is a love coach? I hear this question a lot, but I also find that people do already instinctively know exactly what that is. A love coach guides you through your love life to create the love story of your dreams. And starting with the number one most important relationship in your life, which is your relationship with yourself. In my opinion, the more important question is, how do you know if you need a love coach? Because most people don't know that they do, or they don't know that this is available. So I would invite you to close your eyes, seriously, close your eyes for a minute, and just think about your love life. And how does that make you feel? Do you feel sad, disappointed, worried, stressed, anxious? If you feel anything other than thoroughly happy, then you could benefit from having a love coach. So through my 3-month love coaching program, I help women to get in touch with their true self, their feminine nature, and not just find a man, but really magnetize and attract a high quality, amazing partner in their life. So all of this while achieving more clarity and more peace throughout every area of their life. So I'm here right now on a vacation for the holidays at a cabin in the woods, a few hours north of where I live in New York City. But I am taking time today out of my vacation because I feel like there are so many women out there who need to hear what I have to say. So many women who either went through a breakup in 2020 or have been single all year with no clue about how to meet guys, or find themselves settling for men and relationships that are soul sucking instead of soul inspiring. And so that's who I'm talking to today. So let me share my screen here with you. All right. So finding love in the time of Corona. And Whitney, hunterslovecoaching.com is my website where you can learn more. And I offer a free discovery call for anyone who's interested in finding out more about love coaching. I will ask you plenty of questions and find out a little bit about your history, what patterns might be showing up in your life, and how I might be able to help you. So you can use this link, or it's on my website, to book a free call with me. So let's get started. Whoops. Okay. So overview. We'll talk a little bit about what hasn't changed with dating and COVID and what has changed. Then we'll go through some COVID dating tips and some other general dating and relationship tips. All right, so what hasn't changed? First of all, people need connection, and we always do, but what we're finding is now we need it more than ever. People are not getting together with their friends and family. They're working from home. They're not seeing their coworkers. It's a very different world that we're living in. But one thing that hasn't changed is that there's an epidemic of loneliness in our society right now. And it's a loneliness that is lacking depth. You know, we might have 500 friends on Facebook, but how many people can you really call and connect with? And so what we're finding is that need, that desire for connection is still there. even though we're in this situation where many of us are not getting what we want and not able to get those connections. And this applies to both men and women. I work with women specifically, but I see that women don't understand where men are coming from a lot of times, and men don't understand where women are coming from. And so they make these stories and justifications of saying things like, well, men just are players, or women are too clingy or needy. And really, what it comes down to is both men and women need love. And in most cases, in most relationships, masculine and feminine energy, uh, this polarity of masculine on the one side, feminine on the other side, they need each other. They are attracted like magnets. So even though men and women are different, they need that difference in each other, and they need that love and support. Another thing that hasn't changed is what I call patterns and lessons. So patterns are, if you think back on your love life and really dissect it and think about how relationships have started, what has happened throughout them, how did they end, most likely you will start to notice certain patterns, behavior patterns, things that make you feel like all relationships are the same, when really the common denominator is you. And so even though the time of quarantine and COVID, we think that things are totally different and have changed, but in some ways, it's still the same. You're still the same. You're still doing the same patterns. And it's time to really dig into that and learn the lesson that you need to learn from that pattern so that you can break out of that and try something different that will work better for you. Another thing that hasn't changed, online dating has been around for more than 20 years now, and it's still around, and it's still a viable option as one way to meet people. And obviously it's growing right now. I read a lot of articles about this, and I've seen that across the board, usage is way up during COVID. And they've said that that Sundays are the most trafficked days on online dating websites and apps, and that the first Sunday of January is going to be the #1 day. They had a name for it, online dating day or something like that. So I know a lot of people have bad stories and don't like it. And I think that it's just one way to meet and magnetize the right person. But it is a viable option. And there's a lot of different ways that I help my clients navigate that in a healthy way, because it can be tricky. So I found this quote and I really liked it because of what I said about our loneliness in this society that we live in today. So we're not necessarily solving a problem of coronavirus, or solving a coronavirus problem. We're solving a problem of loneliness that happens to be compounded right now because of coronavirus. And this was from someone who owns a matchmaking company that is that helps people manage, or they help by managing people's online dating profiles. And so they're saying they're not solving the coronavirus problem, they're solving the problem of loneliness, because even before the coronavirus and quarantine shone this spotlight on our loneliness, it was already there for so many people. So what has changed? The first obvious one is all these precautions, wearing masks, social distancing. A lot of places like New York City, the indoor dining has closed. There's just, it's definitely created more of a challenge to meet people, more of a challenge to initiate conversation with someone, to have date spots, So another thing that has changed, people are more isolated than ever. So I talked about that quite a bit, that we still need those connections. One of the things that I've also found out is that a lot more people are willing to start longer distance relationships. So someone that might live 2 or 3 hours away, or maybe even in another state, because if you're starting out with online connections and phone calls and FaceTime and Zoom and all of that, it's not such a barrier that someone lives farther away, but it's still an opportunity to get to know someone and to have that connection that people crave so much. Another thing that has changed is that a lot of people have personal challenges. They might have someone in their family who is sick or who has passed away from this uh, COVID or lost their jobs. I know that a lot of people are going through their own personal challenges and difficult times, and that they might put dating on the back burner while they're trying to find a job or do something else. So, COVID dating tips. So, first of all, as I mentioned already, online dating, communications, usage, profiles, all of that is way up right now. People are still looking for love. People are still dating. I have clients that I am helping through this process of dating, taking whatever precautions that they need to take for themselves, but just helping them to be able to meet people in any way that makes sense and fits into their life. So, first of all, the fact that we're all going through this worldwide creates a sense of commonality. So, we have things that we can break the ice with, talking about, uh, whatever is going on during our quarantine time. So, use that to your advantage. I would recommend starting with virtual dates. I know that some people maybe already had it or to have the vaccine or aren't worried about catching it because, um, you know, for different reasons. But it's a safe bet to do um, a virtual date, and I'll talk to you in more detail about that as well. Picking an activity. So it doesn't just have to be sitting there looking at each other and saying, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? I've been helping to set up dates like watching a movie together. You can watch a documentary or something that you'll both learn from. I have people who have gotten those like Blue Apron or one of those where they send it to your house and you both get the same cooking kit and you can cook your meal together. And then sit down and eat dinner. Or if you don't want to cook, you could just order in and have dinner together. People have been doing wine tasting, sushi with a sake tasting would be a great idea. And interestingly, I've gotten really positive feedback about these virtual dates. Number one, imagine being able to see into somebody's home on date one without having to actually be in their home and put yourself at risk, in that way. So some people have actually taken their computer or phone and given the tour of the house. So you get to see how someone lives, you get to see them in their own natural habitat, comfortable, relaxed, and it can create a really nice vibe. I've had people say that these virtual dates, when they're set up properly, they can be more telling and more enjoyable than an in-person date and without any risk. It's also a nice way to kind of weed people out. So maybe if you're just being cautious and you want to start with a virtual date, but then you're willing to meet someone, it's a nice way to get to know each other. And you can also, a lot of people are dating more casually in the sense that they're really trying to get to know each other. And it's not about hooking up. It's not about, right now, we're not even holding hands, let alone jumping into bed together. So a lot of people have been able to take the time to ask each other questions, to learn more about each other. You also get to see how somebody reacts and responds in a time of crisis. It's sort of like being on a lifeboat with somebody, and you can see, are they proactive? Are they paranoid? Are they making lemonade out of coronavirus lemons, so to speak? So people have enjoyed the fact that they can slowly take the time to get to know each other and not have a lot of pressure in the beginning of dating. Next. Okay. Yes, weeding out players. Anyone who's not willing to have a phone conversation, or, you can kind of, first of all, practice setting your boundaries. Boundaries is a huge thing that I teach in my love coaching program, because everybody could benefit from having healthy, strong boundaries. But it allows you to explain to someone where your boundaries are, what your expectations are, what you need, what you won't tolerate. And anyone that won't fit with your boundaries or respect your boundaries, you don't want to be with that person anyway. So it's sort of an added benefit. We talked about this. Consider long distance. My relationship that I'm in now, we've been together for 2 years and we live together now with our 2 children. And when we first started dating, we lived an hour and a half apart from each other. So we jokingly said that we were in a medium distance relationship, but we made it work. And within a year and a half, we moved to live near each other and then eventually live together. So, don't, I live in New York City and I talk to people that say, oh, if he's not living in the village, then I won't even talk to him. It's silly and it's ridiculous. And when we expand our radius, you might find someone pretty incredible. Another tip, and this is my biggest tip that I can give to everyone right now, is if you're single or if your love life is currently disappointing or non-existent, then use this time to work on yourself. And I know that everyone throws that around there and, oh, work on yourself, love yourself, but a lot of people don't really know how to do that. But this is a really great time to sort out the things that might be holding back in your love life. So just to give you an idea of what my program looks like, and I usually work with clients either for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, but we follow this process every time. So the first is we assess. We get a history. I talk to them in depth and detail about their past relationships, family life, childhood, and we just assess exactly where they are now. There are a few quiz assessments that I have for my clients as well to understand, their love language, their attachment type, all of these things. So once we do the assessment and we know, okay, here's where you are right now, then we create a plan. We set goals, we set intentions, and we look at what we're going to cover and how long it's going to be. And then next comes what I call subtract and add. So subtract is identifying and letting go of all the things that are not serving you. People usually have below their conscious mind, in their subconscious, they have limiting beliefs, fears, all of these ideas, beliefs, behaviors, practices that are not serving them and are holding them back. And so through a process of embodiment, I help people to first identify what's not serving them and then actually release it, let it go. And we do this through movement as well as talking. So it's more than just talk therapy. I do often get the question of, well, how is this different than therapy? And it's different because, for one, if someone has a mental health issue, if someone has depression or bipolar or something like that, that's not what I'm trying to help them overcome. A lot of the people that I work with are in therapy or have been in therapy and have gotten to a place where, okay, I'm way better in this area, but my love life is still a wreck. And that's where I can come in and help. So first we get rid of these things that are not serving you. Before we add them in, add in the new skills. So imagine if you're moving into a house, you can't just unpack all of your furniture. I can't just teach someone, oh, do this, do this, do this. You have to first clean out the house. You have to get rid of all the old furniture. You have to dust, you have to clean, you have to create space. And that's what we do. We first identify and get rid of all of this old stuff, all these old patterns. And this takes several weeks. This isn't something that just snap the fingers and it goes away, because it does take some time. But that's what real transformation looks like, is going through this process and really taking the time. So first we get rid of all of the old furniture, then we add in the new furniture, the beauty, the finishing touches. So what this looks like is communication skills, dating skills, understanding men, women, masculine, feminine polarity, energy, manifestation, magnetization. We add in all these skills in a way, in a sequence that actually step by step brings someone to a place where they are totally ready for love. And so that's the final step, is to find love, and my clients do generally find a partner. I had a client recently who came to me just devastated, heartbroken, had been dating someone and it didn't work out, and she has children and she's divorced and her husband had cheated on her. And so she had a lot of internal blocks that she wasn't even aware of. And through the process of letting go of all of those, it opened up a whole new space inside of her to learn the healthy ways to communicate and learn healthy ways to set boundaries. And she actually magnetized this amazing man, and they have been going strong now for several months. And again, this is during COVID and during quarantine. So it's definitely happening. It's definitely possible. And I'm here to help. So again, I offer a free 1-hour discovery call where I will tell you, I'll ask you a lot of questions. I'll find out a bit about you, find out what your dating pattern is, see if I could help you and how, and spread the word. Maybe you listen to this and you're married, but you were curious of what all this is about. You have a friend, everyone knows somebody who is single. Everyone knows somebody who's struggling in their love life. Do them the favor of passing this along, because this might be something that completely turns their life around to help them create the love story of their dreams. So thank you, everyone. Be well and Happy New Year.